Hello, welcome back to the channel. So for a while now, I've kind of felt like StarRail has had a lot of mechanics that just aren't really being utilized at all. I mean, just like, as an example, a lot of the, like, elemental debuffs, stuff like burning, freeze, that sort of thing, just kind of feels super underutilized, especially since Dot has just kind of been abandoned for, like, so long. I mean, the last Dot character we got was Black Swan all the way back in 2.0. But the two that I mainly want to talk about are Imprisonment and Entanglement. And kind of Frozen as well, but I feel like it's not as bad as these two. All these statuses are like things that you're not unhappy to use them. You're not unhappy that it happened, but there aren't really any like characters or real like big synergies that are like available to you. Like the best one is probably Freeze, just because having an enemy not be able to move is pretty good. But even then, you're only really going to be like focusing on Freeze if you're doing like some sort of simulated universe stuff, right? But like, I just think there's so much more that you could do with these. Like, you could have a character that allows you to go past 5 entanglement stacks, so you could just stack it up to insane amounts to do like a big amount of burst damage, or do damage depending on how slow the enemy is. For something like Imprisonment, which I would also boost up other characters like Welt as well. And like for Freeze, I feel like Freeze is kind of fine the way it is, since like it would be cool to have like some sort of Freeze like characters, but at the same time I feel like if you could make a whole like Freeze team, it would be just insanely broken because the enemy just wouldn't be able to do anything. Like, at least with the other status effects, they have Dot, even though they kind of have fallen off. These basically just have nothing. But even like besides the stats effects, there are just some mechanics that I feel like that are locked behind simulated universe that I don't really think need to be. Specifically the main one that I want to talk about is Quake. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what Quake is, it's basically like another type of damage, kind of like true damage, where it does a percentage of the shield effect you have to the enemies. Now, the main reason I feel that Quake is like the main one that could come out of simulated universe is to actually make a preservation character feel unique, because I feel like that is one of the main reasons we don't get many preservation characters, is because like, how do you make them different from each other? Because I feel like most of the characters you've gotten have already like filled most of the rules that you would want for a preservation character. And I think Quake could sort of solve that problem in giving us more of like a offensive shield character, kind of like Gallagher sort of. Now obviously they would need to like change some of the numbers and actually design a whole kit around it, and actually make sure the mechanic actually works. But I do think it could work. You could say the same for like some of the other damage types, like Afterlast or something, which is kind of the same thing but just for attack. But follow-up is already kind of good, so I don't really think it would be needed. I mean, I wouldn't be against it, but I wouldn't really be upset if we just didn't get it either. I could also potentially see something like Spore if they ever make propagation like a full path, but that is probably going to be like way later down the line. Now, the last mechanic I want to talk about is kind of like weird, since Hoyo has tried to do something with it, but then they kind of just abandoned it, kind of like Dot, and that is skill points. Because it feels like Hoyo was trying to build up like a whole skill point archetype, and then they basically just never did anything with it. Like, we had Lene, we had Chingchue, who are all skill point users, and then we got Sparkle, and then we just haven't really gotten anything else since. And I mean, a lot of those characters are just so outdated now at this point. So, like, I feel like you could bring it back and bring it back in a new way and actually make it exciting, and maybe it'll actually make Sparkle relevant for more than like 2 pages. But anyway, what do you guys think? Are there any mechanics that you feel are underutilized? Because I definitely did not mention them all. Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.